Good morning, everyone. Today I will take you to one of the most iconic buildings of Japan, the Tokyo Metropolitan Building. And why is it iconic? Let us discover later. The world has known Japan for being a first world economy. The progress that they have been throughout the years. These developments are being reflected by the mega infrastructures and the towering skyscrapers. People are enjoying the high standard of living, the quality mobility, and the accessibility to public, health, and government services. We are entering the amusement park beside Tokyo Dome in Bunkyo City. Obviously, all the views of the downtown city that I show you are all just random capture using my mobile phone from the window of our car while in transit at a great speed. Therefore, the panoramic views are just limited to one side of the car. This queue of continuous shops and souvenirs are actually leading you to Kagurasaka, one of the most beautiful and historic streets of Tokyo. There is a canal over here which is very popular for boating, especially during the spring season. As you can see, there is also a train system going to the other side of the city. This is the Ministry of Defense of Japan. Showing you is the top view of Shinjuku in Tokyo, overlooking Mount Fuji. We are now approaching to one of the busiest shopping districts of Tokyo, the Shinjuku city. This is popular for Godzilla and all animes, and at the same time shopping malls. This is not as busy as Shiba, but there are lots of shops and souvenir items that can be found here. I think at nighttime this is more particular, this is more spectacular to see. So there are many people who visit here to shop. Oh, Godzilla is over there. One thing that I notice about this place, even though there are lots of shops and souvenir stores, this place is really very clean. We finally arrived in our destination, but we will not go up to the Metropolitan building because it's still closed due to the pandemic. So instead, we are going to visit one of the exhibitions that we saw in the newspaper earlier. So we will visit the exhibition of Philippine Nikki Jin, and let us try to connect with them. It says here about the war displaced Nikki Jin in the Philippines. Who are the Nikki Jins in the Philippines? So let us see with this exhibit. This is being sponsored by Philippine Nikki Jin Kai, a non-profit organization that is based in Makati City, Philippines, that extends humanitarian, mutual aid, and social action assistance. They work together with Philippine Nikki Jin Legal Support Center. When we say Nikki Jin, this is a Japanese term for Japanese migrants and descendants who establish families in the Philippines. Let us talk about history. In the Philippines, a number of Japanese migrated during the late 19th century until 1945. These Japanese married Filipino and raised the family. When war ended, many Japanese fathers were repatriated to Japan, leaving their children behind, so they left an orphan. Nikki Jin survived after the war by means of hiding their real identity to avoid persecution and discrimination against them. With this, they lost their identity in order to survive from the execution and possible persecution. With this, Philippine Nikki Jin Legal Support Center stood in order to help the Nikki Jin restore their identities as Japanese to develop prosperity and stability in the Philippines in the hope of continuing friendly relationships between Japan and the Philippines. So, Philippine Nikki Jin Legal Support Center is a non-stock and non-profit organization in order to help the Filipinos that have a Japanese descent, in order for them to be recognized by the Japanese government and restore their identities. So this exhibit reminds us about the great friendship of the Filipinos and the Japanese long time before the World War II struck the Philippines. The Japanese migrants in the Philippines built the bridges and the roads going to Baguio and the rest of the Cordillera region. Aside from that, there are also settlements in Visayas and in Mindanao. This picture shows a good relationship between Americans, Filipinos, and the Japanese. During those times, the Philippines was still under the rule of the Americans. There is also a film showing featuring many success stories about Nikki Jins in the Philippines. It is very interesting to know that there is some part of the history before the World War where the Americans, the Filipinos, and the Japanese are living together harmoniously and coexisting in the Philippines. And now, during the modern times, about 6 decades after the war, we are looking forward for a long-lasting peace as a legacy to the world. We can achieve this long-lasting peace through acceptance, tolerance, and respect the differences of one another. So I think just like this tower, it has so much story to tell. I hope that the friendship will be empowered as high as this Metropolitan building, and that makes it extra iconic. I sincerely desire to see this place again. See you until next time.